Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at this book. There's actually two issues of this book. Mobile Suits Special Works and the Mobile Suits Paintbrush Draw book. Now these books are all in Chinese, and both of these came from USA Gundam Store. So first of all, a big thank you to USA Gundam Store for sending these to me. I know the first one, the volume 1, is for the time being, it's sold out on their store, so they don't have any in stock of this one, but they do have stock of the second one. I'm going to be doing them in two separate videos, so in this first video today, we're just going to be taking a look at the first volume. Now, like I said, if you do like what you see in this book, what I'm going to show you, and you are interested in ordering that, then just let them know at USA Gundam Store that you'd like them to get some more stock if they know that there's a lot of people interested. I'm sure that hopefully Adam is going to be able to get some more stock in there for you guys, and then you can use my coupon code there to save 10% on that. So these books came really highly recommended by, I think it was Justin that was talking about them in our episode of Gunpla Talk maybe a couple months ago. He said they're really great books, so I wanted to check them out. So I was just really grateful to Adam for being able to send these to me, so it's really cool. So yeah, as you can see, it's basically just like kind of a normal magazine size book. On the back here's just a couple of images of some works that are going to be in the book. So we've got a Zaku, a Hygog, and a Zaku Kenan. And then obviously here on the front, this really nicely weathered up painted Easy 8. So this book is going to be talking about some painting techniques and things like that. So again, like some of the different magazines that we looked at in the past that are all in Japanese, this one's all in Chinese, so you can use like a translator app on your phone or something to translate some of this if you end up getting the book if you need. But you can see all the products here, and by just the photos we should be able to see kind of what's going on with this for the most part. So here you can see like it's just talking about a few different brushes, and we're going to get into just some kind of brush painting here, it looks like. So this first technique, it looks like we're going to go over some brush painting. So if we're using these fine brushes here, just showing how you can do like some chipping, weathering, painting some fine details, painting in some streaks, things like that, painting in your panel lines, of course, all that. And then for wide brushes, you can use those for painting some larger areas, painting some weathering and things like that. And then you have your kind of disheveled brushes, which are showing you how you can basically just kind of like mash that down and just make the brush kind of shitty, and then you can use that for just painting your like dry brushing and weathering, things like that. So let's see what else we got in here. Here's showing about like painting different tones of color, like kind of RG style, how you have different tones of green, everything like that. Warm tones, cool tones, adding white for that, showing some different color toning. Different tones of gray for inner frame details and weapons, things like that. Some different tones of blue there on a Goof and a Hygog. Different tones of tan. Different tones of red, and it's just so this whole front part here seems to be all about some different color tones, then going in and adding the details in on that. Then doing some rain streaking here, so here it's kind of showing about how you just put some drops of like white or gray on there, and then use your brush with some thinner or water if you're using acrylic paint to just sort of brush that down to look like rain streaking. Here's a few examples of some like real photos of tanks where you can see how they've just got that rain streaking on there. And then some dirt and mud splatter weathering here for like the bottom around the tank or around the feet. And then here about scratches. So scratching here using multiple tones for painting scratches, using a sponge for scratches. So this is all kind of like beginner weathering stuff that I'm sure would be quite helpful just to have like nice photo references of. So here's the kind of feature part here about the Hygog, which looks really nice, I must say. Alright, sorry guys, I'm going to change up my angle here. I was doing kind of top down, but I know you're getting a lot of glare, so I'm trying to keep this as glareless as possible for you guys to be able to see this clearly, but there's a lot of lights in the room just to keep this light enough for you guys. So just a lot of really nice photos of this, and then we get into some work in progress photos, it looks like here. So after it's painted, then putting on the decals, and then doing some detail painting there of some little gray bits, painting around the mono-eye and the cockpit hatch, some other detail painting there, painting in some of the vents, painting in some different color tones on the weapons, just doing that by brush instead of masking and doing that by airbrush. So of course that's one option that you can do, painting the fingers, just painting the secondary blue tones around everywhere on the kit, and then the finished product before weathering here. So the first thing they're doing is just the kind of basic panel lining there, panel lining around all the edges and the details and things like that. And then some filtering, I believe that is. So you can see, again, there's adding some drops of color there. That's a kind of, looks like just black, blue, and white there, just to add a kind of neutral filter over the top of that. So all the colors will all just blend in nicely. So like doing that part, and then looks like maybe a little bit different ratio around this part, or just working in like one section at a time, basically. So depending on how much you blend that, that will kind of give you like the beginning stages of your kind of rain-looking weathering on that. So going through all that, with this being an aquatic mobile suit, obviously having some wet weathering does kind of make sense. So our next stage here is doing some chipping. So chipping on that using a fine brush, using a toothpick. It looks like maybe a toothpick for doing some actual physical chipping in that, some physical scratching of the paint, or no, just painting that really finely with a toothpick. You can see that chipping on there looking pretty nice. The interesting thing here is that it looks like he's actually doing that just in a lighter blue instead of just like a light gray or something like you might expect. So that's a kind of interesting technique. I don't know if I've ever seen that. So then all the chipping is done, and now he's going to do some like secondary level to that chipping. So now it's with like a darker black color to show sort of like kind of the deeper scratches and things like that, and then using a sponge for a little bit of that as well. Sponging and chipping with a brush. Chipping, 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 sponging, sponging, sponging. Yeah, it just takes a while to get used to that, I gotta say. And then starting on some dry brushing, so you can see like where there's that panel line, he's got a tape part like masked off, so like the dry brushing is like showing some scratches going down from that panel of armor, not just like going all over the place. So it's a good way to just kind of keep that controlled. And then finally it looks like he's just painting on some gloss varnish. This is acrylic resin on the bottle, so I guess that would be basically a way of just like a top coat to protect everything on there, and then they have the final product. The next thing is a real grade Zaku. This one looks to be done a kind of similar way, but let's see if there's any kind of different techniques used here. So we just have some nice big photos of that. Photos showing that, and then getting into the work in progress. So building, priming. Okay, so it looks like in this case he's going to be painting it all by hand rather than airbrushing the main colors. So he's painting in a lot of the gray details first. So painting in all these gray bits and then gray details around on the kit and the joints and things like that. Then painting the main armor parts in green. I'm trying to look if it shows what kind of paints he's using. I would assume it'd be acrylic by the way that it looks like he's painting that, but I can't see where it's showing the paints quite yet. But anyways, just painting the different colors of that, painting the shoulder armor, painting, and then here is a guide. So it's showing you where each of these colors are on the kit and the exact ratios of colors used. So yeah, I'm guessing these are acrylics, and those are just the ratios used and the numbers used for that. Considering earlier in the guide it shows a bunch of Vallejo acrylic paints, I'm guessing that those are Vallejo model numbers for those paints. And then we're going through kind of the same stages of panel lining here, panel lining, then filtering, kind of streaking together with the filtering, and then chipping, second layer chipping, more chipping, sponging, some final streaking, and then something a little bit more interesting, the 1/35 scale hard graph of, I forget the hover cycle, something like, I forget what this is called. It's something anyway, but it's something quite different, something more akin to like Machine Krieger or something, with it being 1/35 scale. So we have the weathering is going to work a little bit differently when you're working in 1/100 or 1/144 scale. You're working on something that's very big, and so you have to do the weathering like really small, really tiny. But in this case, this is 1/35 scale, so it's still small, but it's the weathering is going to be in a different scale as well, so you have to consider that. So just painting up the vehicle first, and then painting up the pilot here as well. Just doing that all by hand, it looks like, again probably with acrylic paint. Gluing on the kind of license plate detail parts, finishing up painting the pilot figure, and then similar kind of weathering stages to with previous model kits. It's all very interesting. A lot of photos for reference here, so if you at least want like a lot of weathering reference photos, there's a lot to go by in here. Just spend some time just like looking through this, and you'll have some really good reference for some photos here. So then again, our finished product photos here at the back, and then onto a master grade goof custom. So it looks like a similar thing, just some photos of the finished product here first. I like that orange backpack. That's cool. Unique. Painting this time, here you can see just using all of Vallejo, and it looks like you just airbrushed all the main colors first, and then just detail painting the small detail parts, secondary colors, little details, things like that. Painting some of the pipe colors in different tones, so it looks like some of those have like been replaced or something over time. It's kind of interesting. And then a filtering, and chipping, weathering, chipping, coating, and done. Now, I'm going through this a little bit faster now because it's basically showing the same steps, but I'm sure there's some small details changed in these that you can, like I said, obviously if you get the book, you can look through this more carefully and see some of the smaller things that they're doing differently in each of the builds, but it seems like each of the builds is following a pretty similar process here, so I don't think I need to go through the details in extreme detail with you guys while we're going through this, because it looks like to be generally the same. If I'm noticing anything noticeably different, I'll point it out to you guys, but for the most part it's just kind of following the same kind of steps here. And we have the Zaku Kenan. Really fantastic master grade, I must say. I love this master grade quite a lot. Gotta love those rabbit ears on that MSV Zaku Kenan head. So this is something a little bit different on here, this weathering steps. Let's see where we can find that. So it's all just going through some of the normal steps that it's gone through. I'm looking for specifically if it's going to show in detail about how they're doing that weathering on the top of the torso, because that was kind of interesting looking. One thing that they are doing a little bit differently with this one, because with it being kind of like a desert type mobile suit, they're doing some extra streaking here at the end of this kind of like sandy, dusty color, just to show some of that weathering as like kind of sand weathering there instead of just your normal rain and everything like that. So it doesn't look like they show that exactly in much detail, but here you can see in this photo on the top of the torso and here on the top of the backpack as well, they've got it kind of like splotchy rather than streaky. And so that's just from like water that would be on the top of there and then just like sitting on there, water and oil, whatever, just kind of dirt and gunk would be just like on this top flat surfaces and would just be staying there instead of just like running off the side. So it's a cool thing that you also have to think about. And then our last one here is the Master Grade Easy 8. Another really fantastic Master Grade. Despite its age, it still looks so good. It's not going to be doing any ninjutsu poses or anything, but it's a really, really cool Master Grade. Gotta love that chest opening gimmick as well. Really cool. So anyway, after we have some just photographs here and then photographed posing together with the Goof Custom, kind of acting out some of the scenes from the anime. It's kind of fun. And showing the painted colors used for painting the different parts. Looks like, again, airbrushing acrylics and did some Gaia metallic colors here for some of the pistons, piston details inside the kit there as well. Detail painting, and then panel lining, and panel lining. Then how the kit just looks like just after the main painting, detail painting, and panel lining. So this would be like fresh out of the factory look. And then getting into the same weathering steps of filtering, and scratches, chipping, and then some dry brushing here, it looks like, with just some dirt color, just to make it look a little bit more dirty in some areas, and then some kind of streaking, pulling some of that color down a little bit there, and there you go. Some really realistic looking weathering on this, so I gotta say, very cool. Here's just a Q&A section here in the back. Again, it's all in Chinese, but you could use some Google Translate app on that. Here's showing the different model kits that were used in this. It's all UC, so if you're not a UC fan, it's mostly Xeon as well, just aside from the Easy 8, it's all Xeon mobile suits. So that's pretty much it for this book. Very cool, just kind of book of reference images, I gotta say. I do kind of wish they showed like more variety of different techniques. It just seems to be like kind of repeating the same techniques on multiple mobile suits for the most part. With, of course, they're going to be a little bit different because, like I said, we got different scales that they're working in, and then different weathering conditions, whether it be like an aquatic mobile suit or a desert mobile suit and things like that. So you can get a lot of good references out of this for sure. I think this book would be really good if you're like just wanting to get into weathering. This would be because it seems like kind of these are like the main basic steps of weathering that are kind of like the staple processes that you have to know for doing basic weathering, which I'm definitely still a novice in for sure. So this is great reference material for that. If you're like just getting into weathering or wanting to get into weathering, definitely I think this would be a great book to look into. So yeah, check it out. Search it out online. If you do want to order it from USA Gundam Store, again, just let them know at USA Gundam Store, hey, why don't you get in some more stock of this? And hopefully they'll be able to get some more for you guys. We will take a look at book 2 as well. I'll make a video on that and share that with you guys shortly. Anyway, for now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do have any other questions or comments about this, again, feel free to let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.